We are going to begin tonight with a potential break in one of the greatest mysteries in all of American history. I'm talking about the hunt for the true identity of D.B. Cooper. Now, he is the infamous airplane hijacker who jumped out of a plane back in 1971 with $200,000 in cash, never to be seen again.
A passenger plane cuts through thick storm clouds over the Pacific Northwest. Inside the cabin, everything looks normal. Passengers chatting, flight attendants smiling, engines humming steadily. A man in a black suit calmly hands a note to the flight attendant. She reads it, and her face drains of color. The man leans forward. "I have a bomb." Hours later, the plane lands. The passengers are released, and a man who called himself Dan Cooper walks onto the aircraft stairs carrying $200,000 in cash. But he isn't escaping. Not yet, because moments later, that same man opens the rear staircase of the plane, steps into the freezing night sky, and jumps into darkness, into a storm, into history, and then he disappears. Forever. What you're about to hear was never meant to be discovered, because the man the world knows as D.B. Cooper did something that should have been impossible. He hijacked a commercial airplane, demanded ransom, received it, and then vanished into the night. No body, no trace. For over 50 years, investigators have searched forests, rivers, and mountains. Thousands of suspects, millions of theories, but the truth is still out there. Tonight we are going to retrace the most mysterious skyjacking in American history. And by the end of this story, you may realize something disturbing. Maybe the greatest criminal escape was hiding in plain sight the entire time. November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving. Portland, Oregon. A quiet gray afternoon. Rain taps against airport windows. Travelers hurry through the terminal. Families trying to get home for the holiday. No one notices the man, because there's nothing unusual about him. Wearing a black business suit, white shirt, black tie, dark sunglasses, calm, polite, invisible. He approaches the ticket counter and buys a one-way ticket. Cash, destination, Seattle, Washington. Flight Northwest Orient, 3:05. The ticket name reads, Dan Cooper. Just another passenger, just another short flight. 30 minutes in the air. What could possibly go wrong? The Boeing 727 waits on the runway. A plane known for one unusual feature, a rear staircase that opens downward. A detail that will soon become terrifyingly important. The passengers board, 36 people in total, businessmen, students, holiday travelers, flight attendants greet them warmly. Among them is Florence Schaffner. Completely unaware, she is about to become part of one of the most famous crimes in history. Dan Cooper sits quietly in seat 18C and watches the rain slide down the window. The plane takes off. The engines roar. Portland disappears beneath the clouds. Flight time, 30 minutes. No one expects what happens next. Minutes after takeoff, Cooper calls the flight attendant. Florence approaches. He hands her a folded piece of paper. At first, she assumes it's a phone number, something men did often. She slips it into her pocket, uninterested, but Cooper leans closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Miss, you better look at that note." She unfolds it. The words hit her like ice. "I have a bomb." Her eyes lift slowly. Cooper gestures for her to sit beside him. He opens his briefcase. Inside, 8 red cylinders, wires, a battery, a device that looks exactly like an explosive. Her breathing quickens. Passengers nearby have no idea what's happening. The plane continues climbing through the clouds, and suddenly, The quietest passenger on board is controlling everything. Cooper's instructions are simple. He wants $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle, or the bomb explodes. Florence carries the message to the cockpit. The pilots notify air traffic control. And within minutes, the FBI is alerted. What they're facing is something America has seen before: skyjackings. But this one is different, because Cooper isn't asking to go somewhere. He isn't demanding political asylum. He isn't ranting. He isn't panicking. As the plane circles in the sky, Seattle prepares. Police, FBI agents, airport officials, everyone scrambling. Banks gather the ransom. $200,000 in $20 bills, serial numbers carefully recorded. After 2 hours in the air, the plane lands in Seattle. Night has fallen. Rain still pours. Airport lights glow in the darkness. The plane taxis slowly. Cooper peers through the window, watching, waiting. He allows the passengers to leave, one by one, none of them fully understanding what just happened. They step onto the tarmac, free, alive, but the real nightmare is only beginning, because now the plane is empty, except for the crew and the hijacker. A truck approaches. Inside it, the ransom money. Agents deliver the cash and parachutes, exactly as requested. Cooper examines everything carefully. Methodical, he counts the parachutes, studies the money. Then he gives the next instruction. The plane will take off again. Destination, Mexico City. But there are rules. Altitude, 10,000 feet. Speed, slow. Landing gear, partially deployed. Rear staircase unlocked. The pilots exchange uneasy glances, because what Cooper is requesting is extremely unusual, almost as if he intends to use that staircase. In midair, the Boeing 727 lifts into the night. Only 5 people remain on board: 2 pilots, a flight engineer, and 2 flight attendants, plus Dan Cooper. He sits calmly, still drinking bourbon, still smoking cigarettes. Rain slams against the aircraft. Winds intensify. Mountains below vanish into darkness. Then Cooper gives a final order. Everyone to the cockpit. Door closed. No one comes out. The crew obeys. And suddenly, Dan Cooper is alone, in the cabin, with a parachute, $200,000 in cash, and a plan no one fully understands. 8:13 p.m. A warning light flashes in the cockpit. Rear staircase deployed. The plane jolts slightly. The pilots glance at each other. They know what just happened. Somewhere behind them, in the freezing wind and roaring darkness, a man just jumped out of their airplane into a storm. At night, over dense forest, with nothing but a parachute and a bag full of money. No one sees him jump. No one hears him land. And from that moment on, Dan Cooper disappears from the world. Today, the name D.B. Cooper is legendary. The only unsolved skyjacking in U.S. history. A criminal who vanished into myth. Books, movies. Every year, new theories appear. And every year, the truth slips further away. Because somewhere in that dark storm, a man stepped out of an airplane and erased himself from history. But here is the most disturbing question of all. What if Cooper succeeded? What if the jump worked perfectly? What if he landed safely, hid the money, and walked out of the forest just another anonymous man? If that's true, then somewhere for decades, a man lived a completely normal life. Neighbors, friends, family,